headphones.
Get your life together. And while you're getting your life together, I just want to encourage all that are watching. If you could go ahead and get your mama, your daddy, your uncle, your cousin, your friend, your enemy. All I know it's Bible study night, but gather everybody together. We'll be done by the time the church said and get real good. Get everybody together for this live, please, so that we can really just bless y'all with all the knowledge and stuff that is about to go forth. I think we should go ahead, Dr. P, and introduce ourselves. Like they don't know us, but we should.
Oh, but listen, I just love that we have remained consistent in our full selves throughout all of these live events. So as y'all can see, our little slogan has not changed. Like we for real, when we say go get your mama, your daddy, I would add granny in there because go get your granny, your cousin, your friend, enemy, and tell them to get on this live. Like we consistent. Like we came through with the music and now we got the phrase. Like, so we're gonna give y'all a few moments before we introduce ourselves to go get your folks.
I like that. You were talking about why my bun is crooked.
Girl, these folks ain't thinking about your bun. They ain't gonna be at home like, did you know Charmaine's bun was
You don't know. You don't know what people, but wait a minute. Don't we have a giveaway?
We do have a giveaway, but we can't give it away yet until we introduce ourselves.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Listen. And I have an idea. Like, I'm going to switch it up on y'all and give it to somebody who, I ain't going to tell them yet.
Because you know what? Somebody was in here like 30 minutes before we started because I think they are used to us giving away our book first.
Yes, so we ain't going to do that. So tell the people who you are.
It's your girl, Dr. Bertrand.
And it's your girl, Dr. Porcher. And we are so excited, y'all. Tell them what we doing today, Dr. B.
Y'all, all summer, you have been rocking with us. If you have been rocking with us, you know that we have been in the Vortex. Okay, so we have been all in the Vortex with Dr. Yolanda Sealey-Ruiz. She has this gem called Love from the Vortex. I'm not even going to go into it today because I might not come out if I go in. And so today we are doing the What You Reading Though book club. One of the segments of our Black Gaze podcast is What You Reading Though, because we really want our people to be well read and have the knowledge and understanding. So today is our virtual book club live event. We're going to be talking about Black love and liberation. And we have some guests. But before we get to all of that, I do want you to use a couple of hashtags for me as you are tweeting and sharing this information. If you can use hashtag Black Gaze Podcast and hashtag Love from the Vortex, we will be extremely happy.
All right, friend. Now let's do a giveaway. I'm ready, friend.
It's a giveaway.
It's a giveaway. And I am going to just make an executive decision, friend. Don't be upset with me. But the reason why I want to give this book away to this particular person, and right now they're logged in as Sisters in Education Circle. So I just want to give me just a few moments to give my testimony about this space.
Give your testimony.
I'm going to give my testimony real quick. So Sisters in Education Circle retreat I went to 2 years ago. And this particular retreat, I mean, it just really let me know when I went there that I needed to be in community with other Black women. And what they did in this space was beyond amazing. So she just became a doctor. This is her dissertation work, is just focused on creating sister circles for Black women in education. And because our first podcast was called Sister Circles in Academia, I thought it would only be right.
I see what you did there. That's what Black Genius. We just left Golden Yoli.
So our giveaway, it's a giveaway. It's going to go to Sisters in Education Circle, the leader of the work, Dr. Akusa. And she's a new doctor. Like, she just defended her dissertation and she's doing the work. And the reason why it's so dope is because Yoli is one of the elders that will be present at the virtual retreat.
Listen, I see what you... Sis, you did all of this. You did all... Girl, we got to get started because you're doing too much.
So make sure you email, not email us, hit us up on Instagram, Twitter, or what's the other thing? Facebook, and send us your address so we can send you a copy of Love from the Vortex. Don't stress if you didn't win this giveaway. We got more goodies for you. But let's get into this because we got some special guests today and it's about to be
So
fun.
excited. I'm so excited. Who do we have? Like, what are we doing? First, we need to talk about the OG that's here.
Can you introduce the OG? Because like they don't know. Can you introduce?
Let me be honored and do this thing and do it well. Let me see. So y'all already know we have a heart here, and I'm not even trying to play with you all. Dr. Yolanda Sealey-Ruiz is with us. Such an amazing spirit, just a beautiful person. I've never met one like her. Dr. Yolanda Sealey-Ruiz is an award-winning associate professor at Teachers College, Columbia University. Her research focuses on racial literacy in teacher education, Black girl literacies, and Black and Latinx male high school students. A sought-after speaker on issues of race, culturally responsive pedagogy, and diversity, Dr. Sealey-Ruiz works with K-12 and higher education school communities to increase their racial literacy knowledge and move toward more equitable school experiences for Black and Latinx students. Dr. Sealey-Ruiz appears in Spike Lee's Two Fists Up, We Gonna Be All Right, a documentary about the Black Lives Matter movement and the campus protest at Mizzou. She is an author of the amazing book, Love from the Vortex and Other Poems. Y'all, without further ado, I am going to introduce to you all Dr. Yolanda Sealey-Ruiz.
Oh, that's my boo up in here.
Hey, y'all.
Hey, y'all. So before we bring on a special guest, Yoli, can you just say what's up to the people?
Oh, hey, listen, I am feeling so blessed today. I'm in the presence of my sisters. I just left the presence of my bestie, Dr. Goldie Muhammad. I'll be here with two beautiful brothers. I won't give their names, but y'all saw the flyer. I'm really here tonight to say thank you. Thank you to Black Gays for leading in the future of podcasting. Thank you for all of you who purchased the book, who continue to send me messages, who continue to open up your hearts for healing. Thank you to schools who have adopted the book and buying them for all of your staff. Thank you for schools who are putting them in the backpacks of the students. We are healing and we will continue to heal. I'm here to learn tonight and just really to say thank you.
Listen, Yoli, we are always like, even though we love you and we get to chat with you all the time, like we do not take this opportunity for granted. And we thank you so much for just loving us and always showing up for us and supporting us. Like this is nothing for us to engage in this work. Like it's liberating us. It's teaching us how to love ourselves differently. So we thank you. Now we know all of these folks have read your book. So we want to give y'all a few moments to tell Yoli. Y'all got the Queen Yoli here right now. Tell her in the chat.
Crown. Wait a minute. You see my crown?
Fix your crown, boo. Okay. So I want you all to put your favorite poem from the book in the chat so Yoli can see how much you all love her.
Wow.
Just a few moments to do that. Y'all know what my favorite is. That means Charmaine always
I want.
I won, but you know what I'm gonna put in here for them? Tea with God, because I knew you was gonna try to play me.
You know what? And just because Yoli and I share this moment, somebody said just one. Yes, just give us one. If you want to give us multiple, give us multiple.
You just put the book in there.
Just put the book in there. Another one that I love, because this is something that Yoli and I share together. We're both Libras, the Libra cycle of love.
Well, you know, I can't see the chat, but that doesn't matter. I'll see it later. No. Oh, I know what I'm doing wrong. Oh, I have to private. It's a whole thing.
So yes, y'all can break rules on the Black Gays, right? So yes, can you please tell us what is your favorite poem from the book? If you want to give us multiple, go ahead.
This is so beautiful. Hey Mo, the producer. Hey Mo, the producer.
I had to type that so he knows that we know you all here.
We're trying to give people a few moments to get their book, Yoli. You know they got to get their book so they can write it. So yes, we'll give you all some moments. I have a bunch. I can just run off some of mine, Yoli, while the people wait. Let me tell you how you gave somebody a glorious read in this book on the necklace, honey.
Oh,
That was a glorious read. I was like, I want to
listen.
read
I'm
people.
still waiting for the necklace.
You still waiting on the necklace?
Wait, not still waiting.
I ain't got it yet.
You ain't get it yet? But that was a glorious read. Like, listen, I was thinking about that when I'm listening to it. So I'm a huge Brandy fan. And I wish I had Brandy's address so I can send her this book. Because there were so many poems in here that parallel a lot of the things that are on her new CD. So I thought that was good. So Amara has the necklace. The last words on page 173. Let me look at that. I love when people give me a page number.
Yes, we are teachers here. Teachers.
Ooh, Yoli, somebody didn't even pick a poem on the last page. It says, I was set free because I let go.
Jesus, that's a word. Y'all know we're not going like what we did on IGTV. We're not going to do that.
Oh, wait till they see our episode of Fall Into the Vortex with Yoli with Black Gaze podcast.
Wow.
Yep, look out for that.
Yoli, we got Just Us as one of the favorites.
The Awakening.
Yes, thank you, Melissa. Love you.
Oh, why was I on that page, Stacey? A moment of remembering what liberation feels like. I promise I was on that page.
Love and friends. This is
all right.
beautiful.
Yoli, you all can continue to tell us your favorites. Drop them in the chat when you get them. But Yoli, I gave you just one expectation. I want you to share, and I know it's hard, but I want you to share one of your favorite poems for the people before we bring on our special guest.
Okay, there are many, but if you're on page 124, it's a little long, but I'll get through it quickly. Follow the sun. It takes patience and courage to choose. I choose to walk with uncertainty through ambiguity, maintaining my dignity and belief that we were meant to be. Meant to walk this journey together, a search for momentum that carries the risk only an open heart can hold when love is the choice. I am not Catholic, but I confess it is you. I knew it was you the moment we exchanged smiles. It has always been you without much resistance from me. But I feel your trepidation like the heat that prickles my skin, the bird reluctant to leave the egg, the toddler learning to walk one step forward, two back, and a fall. I have fallen for you. Yet remain a witness to your wonderings about me. Still, I offer you this invitation to love yourself and me. I sit with patience and fellowship. We have become good friends. I invite you to meet with us as we make space to recognize the gift of having met. I have broken through fear today. I have wrestled with my thoughts as fear tugged at my heart, found the courage to say what I always knew to be true. I choose you. I hope you accept this invitation and choose to be fully present when my heart arrives for a visit. I hope you choose to be courageous in moments of fear, delimit the possibilities to consider that this, in fact, could be a beautiful friendship. I hope you choose to build a different kind of family with me, us, together, as one. Show me your fears, your scars. Tell me what is in your heart, and I promise I will not walk away. This invitation calls for patience and courage, both of which I have in abundance. So why not just talk? Let's just talk and see where it goes. And if we end up in a place that we don't want to be, we can just turn around and follow the sun.
Wow, yo, wow. Yeah, we're speechless. So
I'm just waiting on you.
I'm gonna share some other poems that people said they love. They said strength, goodbye in the making, but I confess. Ooh, okay, Yoli. I know we are so I know y'all excited. We are excited. And we have to be transparent and say that Yoli, Charmaine, and I have been having some very open conversations about love from the vortex, the ways in which we are learning to love ourselves deeply, and also the ways in which we're learning to love each other. And Yoli asked us straight up, I think we need to be in conversation with some Black men about how we can love each other better. And so Yoli, don't play no games with Yoli. When she says something, she gonna do it. And she did what she said. And so we thought that it would be amazing to end this virtual book club with some Black men that we admire, the work that they're doing, the way that they love themselves, the way they love on other people in the Black community. And we brought them here today so that we can discuss what love, Black love and liberation looks like amongst all of us. So I'm going to introduce them, and I'm going to start with Dr. Edmund Adjapong. He is an assistant professor of education at Seton Hall University. He is also a faculty fellow at the Institute for Urban and Multicultural Education at Teachers College, Columbia University, and author of Hip Hop Ed, the compilation on hip hop education, both volume 1 and 2, like he doing his Jay-Z thing, okay? Dr. Adjapong is a former middle school science educator at a New York City public school in the Bronx. He is the director of the Science Genius Program, a program that engages urban students in the sciences through hip hop, and the director of the Science Genius Academy, a program that encourages and prepares students to pursue STEM careers while providing mentoring and support. He's also my homie and brother. Let me just add that piece in there. So go ahead and bring Edmund into the room. What's up? Say what's up to the public.
What up? What's up, people? How
My
we living?
academic son.
My mama.
I love it.
Listen, so we got another person that I'm so excited to be in conversation with. I actually, listen, I'm just gonna go all off the thing. David, I've just been I've been a fan of his and the work that he's been doing. I'm gonna share some of that, but I actually met him at Yoli's birthday party last year, and me and him was literally doing every single line dance in the middle of the floor. Like he will kill it on the dance floor. Do not play with him. But let me give him a formal introduction. And I couldn't, when I tell you I done took all of this stuff off this man's website because it was just so much. I didn't even know where to start. So let me just go. David Johns is known for his passion, public policy, acumen, and fierce advocacy for youth. He is an enthusiast about equity, leveraging his time, talent, and treasures to address the needs of individuals and communities often neglected and ignored. A recognized thought leader and social justice champion, David's career has focused on improving life outcomes and opportunities for Black people. On September 1st, 2017, David Johns began his next life chapter as the executive director of the National Black Justice Coalition, a civil rights organization dedicated to the empowerment of Black, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer people, including people living with HIV and AIDS. NBJC's mission is to end racism, homophobia, and LGBTQ bias and stigma. In 2013, he's a real boss. Y'all just let me get this. In 2013, Johns was appointed as the first executive director of the White House Initiative on Educational Excellence for African American Initiative by President Barack Obama, the real president, and served until the last day of the Obama administration in January 2017. Johns has been featured as an influential political and advocate by several publications and outlets, including TheRoot.com, NBC, Ebony, and The Washington Post. Johns is a prominent strategist who offers commentary for several media outlets, including BET, CNN, Education Post, and TV One. David is currently pursuing his PhD in sociology and education, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe he's a doctoral candidate at Columbia University. So can we please welcome Mr. David Johns?
We about to boss up. Let me add him in.
Yes.
Hi.
Look at that smile. My God.
I just so had a fangirl moment. I'm like, hi.
David, it's good to see you again. I wish we were somewhere cutting up on the floor. Somewhere.
That would be nice. But I'll take the
No,
virtual.
we are about to get. How are you?
I'm frustrated, to be quite honest. Yoli, ever the teacher, and I think about what it must be for students. I pay almost $300 a month to have high-speed broadband access. And in the course of the last half hour, I have learned that there's been a power outage that has affected the part of New York where I reside since 3:30. And so what I think about, and the short answer to your question is I'm frustrated because I pay extra money to ensure that I have access to the type of technological support that allows me to do this. And spent at least a half an hour being frustrated because I could not connect. And I counted a blessing that I had as Yoli, called me ever the educator on. I know that it's not your practice to not be where you're supposed to be. Are you okay? And reminded me that I have 2 phones that I pay for. One of them is a hot phone.
I wish
And
that meant.
so I'm thankful, right, for the resources, for the love, for the ability to actually connect. And I'm mindful that there are so many of our babies who don't have the resources, who don't have control over access to broadband, and who have been forced to learn in this way, who are strict. And we don't even have that conversation with all the factors that exist in the world. So I'm thankful that I was able to connect, and frustrated as a result of what was required in order to get here.
Well, we're thankful to have you here because we prayed you on up in here just so
We
you
did.
know. Just so you know, we prayed you on up in here.
Rebuke the spirit of Teddy Riley. Welcome on to the spirit of baby Faith.
Come on, rebuke Teddy Riley's spirit. Being
Teddy
extra.
Riley, you gotta go, honey. You got to go. All right. So y'all, we're gonna get right into this.
We are.
Shanae, you up first.
Okay, so listen, we are so excited. And so we have 3 questions. And audience, we do want you to submit your questions throughout, and we will get those going as well in the midst of us asking questions. But I want to start off with you, Edmund. Malcolm X stated, the most disrespected person in America is the Black woman. And look, you got the book right there, David. The most unprotected person in America is the Black woman. The most neglected person in America is the Black woman. Furthermore, in Yoli's book, there were moments where she was disrespected by Black men. In your opinion, how can Black men show up for Black women better? And then another part to that is, and I'll read it again if necessary. How do we change the narrative of Black women to become the most loved, protected, and supported person in America?
Wow.
Dope question. Of course, in my opinion, so 2-pronged question, right? And I think the first answer for how do Black men show up for Black women better, I think simply for me is kind of stepping aside, right? And providing opportunity and space for Black women. I think, and I've come to that realization more so over the last couple of months, especially after the Black Lives Matters, the recent movement and protests, and learning more about Black women narratives and experiences through media, diving through Breonna Taylor's story, but also the story of so many others like her. It's important for us, I think, as a Black man, when I came to consciousness, probably around college, and really understanding my experiences and how the world sees me, it's easy to get caught up in me, right? And get caught up in me as a Black man, and knowing the history and knowing that I've been marginalized as a Black man. Sometimes it's easy to forget about everybody else, right? And it's easy to forget about Black women. But we also have to recognize that, at the same time that we're being pushed to the margins of society, Black women are being pushed further to the margins, right? And it's important for us that when we have opportunities or we have to just step aside and allow Black women to share their voice, to share their perspectives, to share their truths, to share their narratives, because that's important. And I think that's how we change the narrative of Black women, right? For me, I think I love learning about perspectives, experiences, narratives, stories. And, I could tell you, I've been really diving. I've been reading a lot, been reading some bell hooks, but I've also been watching TV. That's my self-care thing. I've been just listening to music, and I've been watching I May Destroy You. I've been watching the Shy, right? And the narrative on the Shy, right? Yep. I'm diving into that right now, Yoli. I've been watching Pose. I've been watching, what's this joint on Showtime? 20s. right? And there's a lot of media out there that shows different perspectives and different experiences of Black women that we haven't really seen. And I want to see more of that, right? I think we need to step aside. We need to better understand Black women, and we need to better understand their experiences. When you look at the statistics, the Shy really opened my eyes to like how many, like the vulnerable, like Black females, Black girls, and how many missing girls, Black girls and Black women there are across our nation, and how nothing's being done about it, and how there are organizations that are protesting and demanding justice. And there's a lot that we can do, but we have to understand those experiences and put them to the forefront. But that also requires us as Black men to also step aside and provide those opportunities and provide those space to do that.
Wow. David, Yoli, y'all want to jump in there? Y'all can definitely answer the question if you want to.
I'm listening.
Ooh.
I'm being taught.
Okay.
Which is often what Black women do, right? So I will double tap a part of that and say that Black men, cis and trans, have an opportunity to step back and to give space to Black women, cis and trans, and Black girls who go into womanhood to take up the space that they otherwise occupy and are often not given credit for, right? I'm here as a Black feminist that it is often the case that the things that we are thankful for in our community and in the world more generally, we owe to Black women. And I want to be clear, as I said before, when I say Black women, I mean all Black women, including cis, trans, femme-identified, non-binary folks who might otherwise show up in that space. And it's also important for us, for men, cis and trans, to step up and to engage in healthy conflict and confrontation. I want more of us to demonstrate love for Black women and girls in both public and private. I want more of us to create space for Black men to be celebrated in public when they decide to do the radical thing of loving themselves enough to love and be loved by a Black woman. Right? And I also want us to do more work of disrupting the burdens that Black girls are taught that they have to bear in the process of being strong for the world, because it is often the case that we are taught not only by a society that says that Black women can and should bear all things, but because we see y'all do. We see you fill the gaps in the moments when we cannot. We see you fill the gaps in the moments in which society prevents and prohibits us from doing so. But we also buy into this lie that you all are superheroes and are impervious and otherwise don't need anything. And I want us to honor that as a myth, that it is something that can to the disproportionate health challenges that you all experience while attempting to practice self-care and to love yourselves in this space as well. And that there's work for us to be done to ensure that, for me, this is less about like giving y'all anything or doing anything other than let y'all show up and show out in the ways in which you always do, and understanding that we can do more and we should do more because of the burdens that are continually placed upon each of you.
Yeah.
Wow.
We
ain't never really speechless, but I'm sitting here like, whoa.
But you know what I was thinking? I was thinking that this is the beauty and the power and the importance of having us speak with each other, right? And we do that. A lot of us do it in private. David and I have a relationship. We talk. Edmund and I, we talk. And it's taken to social media to do things like this that both Edmund and David, and certainly Black Gays Podcast does. This is what's important. This is a model, right, for others, and particularly, let's say, younger generation that may not be engaging in the kind of conversations that we're having here today. It can be a beautiful model. So while I am saying, wow, because of these two brothers that I love so deeply and I know who they are, I'm not amazed by what they're saying because that's their spirit, but I'm saying, wow, at the beauty of what y'all are doing and pulling us all together to say this publicly.
Yes, and I think the one thing that stood out to me, and Charmaine and I talk about this a lot, is that there is enough space for all of us, right? And I'm thinking about back to the conversation we had with Dr. Shea, how she talks about how white supremacy makes you feel like there's not enough, right? And so everyone's clamoring for space, right? So it can only be Black women who get the opportunity, or it can only be Black men. And she talks about how, like, no, there's enough space. We lack nothing. There's enough space for us to be in community and for all of us to step to the side when there's an opportunity for one to rise to the front or have to support the other. So I think that's absolutely amazing. And thank you all so much for your feedback. Any questions from the audience before we move on? Because they already busting my head wide open. What y'all got?
Can I say two things? Can I say two things while we're in that space? One, I couldn't add in, but I just want to highlight that one of my favorite pieces from the Bible, that is Love from the Vortex, right? It's just us, and I want to read. I would take my time to read it because it's short, but I also think that it is reflective of what we're talking about. And before I read it, I want to be clear that, like, nothing, at least that I've said, and I'm clear about showing up in community with our ancestors, right? My fur baby Baldwin is on over here on the floor. I got Malcolm on this side, Brother Martin over here, Audrey Lord is sitting right here too. And I think often about the conversation between Nikki Giovanni and James Baldwin in Paris and 71, where they spent more than an hour sitting in the studio just talking with each other about intergenerational conflict and challenges. And so much of what they talked about, what they named as important for us to do as people with regarding our shared liberation is to practice love. And the kind of love that allows us to understand that white supremacy wins, we buy into this idea that there's a scarcity of anything, especially in a capitalist society where people are becoming poorer and more susceptible to harm, while Jeff Bezos has become a trillionaire, right? So I just want us to be clear that, like, so much of what I find that is problematic is that, like, we're often searching for something that seems radical and fantastical or phantasmagorical. But, like, for me, love in the kind of way in which we talk about it, that is embodied in so much of what Yoli does in life and in her book, is this radical idea of love that we need to center for ourselves, right? And so for me, what she talks about here is that, like, here's my invitation for you to bend towards justice. My arc of self bends in favor of love, asking hard questions, waiting for answers that don't offer conclusions, just more wonderings about how to live a life worthy of the children who come after us. And for me, like, this is a perfect recitation on what's required for us as a people, because it is literal and figurative in so many ways that this is the kind of conversation that I want to have with the partner that I know God is still working on, because I'm still single and doing too much work, and we ain't that yet. And it is the kind of conversation that we all need to have as educators, invited to be disruptive in this moment of additional crisis, not just anti-Blackness and the trauma associated with that, but the trauma associated with COVID, to really think about how we can all show up for ourselves and in community with each other for the children that didn't ask to be born. That's one of the
That's good. That's deep.
That's dope.
He said that's deep, that's dope, and I'm just like, whoa.
Let me tell y'all what some of the audience is saying. Tasha Austin, bring back the Black literary societies that Dr. Gholdy Muhammad talks about. I think that's right on point. I think that is so on point, because a lot of this stuff we've already been doing in history. And so it has got whitewashed and white supremacy has taken over, but a lot of this we have been doing. And we've been leading the way. And I'll say Black women have been doing it. I think Dr. Bettina Love said, if you want something done right, you go to a Black woman. Because that's what we do. So this is good stuff. There's somebody else that's saying here, of course, there's a couple of preachers in the chat. I love this. Tasha Austin, you got some good stuff. Here we go. Stacey Joy, who also won the Love from the Vortex t-shirt, I believe, from Jolie. She's saying, I'm so grateful for the times we are in where people are willing and open to learn more about all the intersection of Black women, finally. And I'm very...
Can I say something to David Johns?
Yes.
Briefly? David, brother, I want to thank you, because you are a warrior even when people are not watching. And you have put on the map our trans brothers and sisters, specifically our trans sisters, as violence is hurled against them just simply for being. And when something goes down, first of all, I hate when it goes down, but I know when something goes down, I know that David Johns has something to say about it, and is collecting all of us together to rally around our sisters. So I just want to thank you, brother, for that work that you have done, continue to do when no one is looking, no one is patting you on the back, no one's big upping you in a magazine. You're doing it because your spirit is telling you to do it, because you love all of us.
Yes, Yoli, and I just want to shout him out again because I follow and look forward to his post on Love Wins. Like without question, he shows beautiful, and when I say beautiful manifestations of love in the Black community, and especially in the gay community. And I love you for always centering love. That's why we had to have you here. And I think it's perfect for us to transition into the next question. And this one is specifically for you, David. So David, we were stalking you, and we saw one of the posts that you put up, and so I wanted to share it with the people because I feel like it was so important for them to know about the work that you're doing. But something that you said is something that we all need to rise to. So you stated anti-Blackness is insidious, and racism and its cousin homophobia impacts every American institution, but we can rise to meet this moment. How do we rise in love to dismantle anti-Blackness and homophobia in the Black community?
Yeah, I appreciate the question, and I think in threes. And so there are at least three things that we can do as Black people. I want to be clear that I'm talking to Black people, and about the things that we can control, acknowledging, as Derek Bell, a founding father of critical race theory, suggested, that we accept radical realism and acknowledge that racism is a fundamental part of our experience as a result of white people, their greed, capitalism, and the transatlantic enslavement process. And so the first thing we do is to acknowledge the discomfort that comes with being people who are persecuted simply because we have skin that has been kissed by the sun. And we find time and do the uncomfortable work of trying to make sense of what that means and how we continue to endure. One of the things that I've watched continue to happen most recently since June, right? And not only is June significant because it is Pride Month, I think it was a time where so many of us settled into the reality that COVID and the novel coronavirus is not going anywhere, and it's a part of our experience heretofore, going forward rather. But it was also, for me, significant because every week since June 1st, we've lost at least 2 Black trans women that we know of. And I say that we know of because often trans folks are misgendered. The stigma around what it means to be both Black and have another intersectional identity, in this context, to be a sexual minority, but also maybe to be living with a disability, to be non-native, to be Afro-Caribbean or otherwise persecuted in the ways in which language is used in this country, means that we simply don't have the luxury of mourning or trying to make sense of this. And one of the things that white people continue to do in asking us to do the work of helping them to figure this out is to rob us of the space to make sense of it and to mourn, and to be in our feelings about all of the things that come with our experience. And so I think that that's first. We need to get more comfortable being uncomfortable, dealing with the reality of what all of this trauma causes, right? I think the second thing is to appreciate that all of us are in this together. I say often, and I remind people that as long as there have been Black people, before the terms lesbian, gay, whatever existed, there were Black, queer, trans, and non-binary people. So Mbufu Some talks about that the word lesbian and gay didn't exist in the village, but the word gatekeeper did, right? And too often, we as people who continue to struggle with the vestiges of transatlantic enslavement believe this lie that homosexuality is something that white people created and that Black people engage in to be intentionally progressive or to eschew things that are otherwise African. And unless and until we appreciate that we've always shown up with incredibly and beautifully diverse ways of experiencing life, then we will always be bound to the trap of capitalism, which suggests that parts of our community need to wait, right? And this is what's happening when cis het Black folks who benefit from the labor of Black, trans, femme-identified, non-gender conforming folks say to them, I appreciate that, we have some rights because y'all sacrificed for them, but this trans stuff, not right. It's just too much right now. Y'all wait. We'll get to y'all next. It is the same kind of violence that we are practicing amongst each other that we've learned from and watch white people continue to do to us. And so the second thing is appreciating that, like, yes, it requires a little bit more work. You might have to learn some acronyms. You might have to learn some letters. You might have to think about using they and them as gender pronouns when you become accustomed to using him or hers, right? You might have to allow for gender expression being a thing and people being able to wear pants or dresses and that not be a reflection of their sexual identity, right? Like, all of these things require work, and they allow for us as Black people to be free in the purest sense of the word, right?
Get free.
And the third thing for me is that we have to, again, practice love, the kind of love that Nikki and James talked about that requires us to do away with, to unlearn all of the toxic stuff that white America teaches us, that we as Black folks buy into because we exist in this society and we are affected by the trappings of capitalism. And we can still deal with our shit such that we can love all parts of ourselves, in particular the parts that we are told are most unworthy of love, such that we can show up in community. I think that those are three incredibly important things that allow each of us to know and demonstrate for ourselves the kind of love that we can also demonstrate for each other when we show up in community.
You're just so full of knowledge. This is why I was fangirling you right there. Right there.
Edmund, what's your thoughts? How do we rise in love to this anti-Blackness and homophobia?
I think David made a lot of great points, and some that I haven't even considered. I love the last point around love, and just finding out, trying to learn how to love ourselves and create space for everyone to love themselves. And I think thinking about the trans community and other communities, just understanding that the discomfort that other communities and other folks feel, we can deal with, it's okay to use other pronouns. It's okay to be, the discomfort that other communities feel is not nearly the level of discomfort that we're going to feel, and trying to address the other groups properly, gay, trans, and other groups properly. So in the way that they want to be addressed, in the way that they want to be free and loved, and just have that same space that others are allowed. I think that's so important. And ultimately, that's the goal, right? Like, being a Black person, you want to be free, but like David said, I can't be a cis Black man and like, I want to be free, and like, y'all gotta wait, right? We have to support each other, right? On this journey towards freedom. I think that's super important to highlight.
Yeah, and I want to be, at the risk of me persnickety, my frustration and why I just got chills along my body is that, like, there's so many members of our community in particular, cis, het, privileged folks, again, right? Like, so many of us forget that gender is assigned at birth. It's a choice that somebody makes. It's a guess, a best guess, which is what most medicine is, right? Yeah. And people lean into that privilege, and in their pursuit of freedom, deny people the ability to simply be. So many Black, queer, trans, non-binary folks, it's not about freedom for us. It's about the ability to simply be. It's about the reality that the average life expectancy for Black trans women is around 35 years of age, right? Walking outside of their homes in most places throughout this country, major metropolitan spaces like Chelsea, New York, Boys Town, Chicago, Hollywood, California, these places that are celebrated as like a liberation for white queers, like, those spaces are fraught with all kinds of trauma. Think about Ed Buck, the white man who killed Black gay men in his home, right? Forced the sex work, drugs, right? And the reality is also that, like, most Black, trans, femme-identified, non-binary folks can't walk outside of their household without feeling some sting of stigma or offering themselves up for the violence around hate crime. So what I'm trying to say is, like, most of us simply just want to be. We want to be, exist without being affected by anti-Blackness and white supremacy. Its cousins, and I always say that, homophobia, transphobia. Maura Bailey created the term trans misogynoir to talk about how all of this stuff uniquely affects Black trans women and femme-identified folks. But all this is really just about, like, all of us just simply want to be. And I don't know why Black folks who should get that, right? Like, we talk about that all the time, but white folks, like, if you get that, and you purport to care about, like, Black folks, and you got to care about all of us. And I don't understand why that part of the work seems so difficult for so many of us.
Yeah.
That's it. Wow. We have some questions from the audience, y'all, that I wanted to get to really quickly. This question, I'm popping it up, states, I find our people to have a lot of issues with trans and homophobia, which really is frustrating. How can I approach those conversations with more love?
I feel like Yoli should go first because my response is, why do you need to approach it with love? I think a part of my issue is that we are often too gentle and too concerned with people's feelings to be disruptive and to call people out on their shit and to get in people's faces, right? And in the same way that I'm going to call out a man who is adultifying a Black girl and forcing her to put on weight as a protective measure, I'm not going to be nice about that. I'm going to be disruptive. I'm going to get in his face. I'm going to put my body on him. In the same way that if I see somebody practicing transphobia, it's not going to be nice when we got to talk about it. That's different if we're having a conversation where we're building and where somebody's demonstrating compassion and a desire to increase their competence. In that kind of space, I can meet you with love. But I'm saying, like, we need to sometimes meet people where they are and tell them to keep that same energy. And if somebody's being reckless, then you need to
same energy.
Keep that same energy.
Well, you know, I'll add to what David said, which is he just kept it 100 right there. Is what definition of love are you using? When I talk about love, I'm talking about critical love. I'm talking about love that is inherently anti-oppressive. I'm talking about love that is deeply connected to justice. I'm talking about love that is liberatory for the person that is standing in front of you and also liberatory for you. Because in you holding these beliefs about our trans brothers and sisters, right, about queer brothers and sisters, you're in bondage too. You're not free. So so how do you approach it with love? First, you speak the truth, right? And all the things. It's not one or the other. So as David is sharing the energy that's coming, you know, sometimes you have to deliver something in a way that someone can hear it. But for me, it's the fundamental idea of the love that you're pushing forward. I am interested in loving people towards liberation. That's it. And sometimes that comes out in different kinds of ways. You know, Yoli is Yoli. There's the Bronx Yoli. There's Yoli. You know, I'm always Yoli. It depends on the situation, but it will always be tied to the liberation of the student, of the person that is being marginalized. We have to all be free.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yoli, we got a question for you
because you so hard. Why is freedom so hard?
But Yoli, I think we talked about this too, and I think David hit on it, is that we show up on a spectrum, right? And Black people haven't been given space to be like, to experience all emotions. Like, we can only show up extremely excited or extremely angry, right? All of the emotions that exist, we also have access to them. So if you step on my toe, I'm not going to say, please don't step on my toe. I'm going to say, ouch, you stepped on my toe. And so we have to be mindful about how we might try to control our emotions to not appear to be a certain way, because we don't want to be associated with a stereotype. And we have to be real with ourselves and be authentic in our responses. Yeah. And I think that's extremely important.
And I think that's why we don't have freedom, because I say this to you, Yoli, a lot, is that nobody has ever taught us how to do this. Nobody has ever, like what you've done with Love from the Vortex, the way that you express yourself, the way that you show your vulnerability, the way that you show your healing process and the liberation that comes with that. Nobody has given us permission. And why do we need permission? Because we've been conditioned to think that we can't, as Black people, just be free within ourselves. So when you talk about freedom, I think that nobody's ever shown us this. I tell you and Goldie all the time that you all are the Black print, because you are showing me something that I'm not used to seeing.
I like the Black print, but I will say this, sis, and we talked about this before. It's in our DNA. It's ancestral. So it is me and Nikki who have given examples. It is Auntie Tony. It is Dora Neal. It is, you know, we're just in contemporary times manifesting have already given to us. Is etched in our DNA. And so I thank you for recognizing, let's say me and Goldie and Edmund and David, even yourselves, but understand, like in the book of Ecclesiastes, there's nothing new under
the sun.
This is not new for us. What is new, though, is perhaps we're a little bit more, I would say the word, unapologetic for sure about how we feel, is what David was saying earlier. We just simply are not giving a damn anymore in many circles. We have broken free, and we have to continue with the freedom.
Dr. Bertrand, I will remind you that some time ago, our sister Audre Lorde reminded us, if I didn't define myself for myself, I will
Yes.
be to other people's fantasies for me and eaten alive, right? Like
Mm.
there have been our ancestors, if we are still enough,
Audrey here.
if we are enough, if we are connected enough, if we are not ashamed into being disconnected from our ancestors and communing with them, these lessons have always been there. The question is,
Yes.
will we do the work to heed them?
Mm.
Oh, I love
Get
that.
that question for Yoli so we can do our last question.
Well, I
That
want
was
to hear
so
Edmund.
good.
I want to
Go ahead,
hear
E.
Edmund's voice. What you feeling, brother?
No, I'm listening. I'm learning. I'm soaking it in. You know, like David, I appreciate a lot of your points, and I love your perspective. And I love, you know, the point about, like, you know, we don't have to always address folks with love. We got to kind of meet them with the same energy that they're at. And I think our contemporary society needs to see more exemplars of that, right? I think everybody's in a different space in their journey. But I would love to see more people where you are, right? In terms of like just addressing those things, you know, whatever bigotry, hatred, or like just not allowing folks to be, right? Just addressing that head on, right? So we just nip it right there. Oftentimes in the spaces that we're in, we want to like kind of bind by different rules, but like, you know, folks don't recognize what they don't follow the rules when they address us or when they want to engage with black folks. So we gotta respond with similar energy. I love that.
I do. I'm Yoli. The sisters in the chat got a question for you, and look, they saying more than one. So I have a question for Dr. Yolanda. Being vulnerable here, what message do you have for the heart of Black women, particularly over 40, but not exclusively, still seeking romantic love / life partner?
I want to know too. Shit.
Listen. For a beautiful moment, I can speak from my heart. I am indeed over 40, and I still believe in love. That what the Vortex taught me, and if I could go backwards, I would enter those relationships with more self-love. I think it's not like I rushed into it. After I was separated from my husband, I waited 7 years before I even seriously engaged. And in those 7 years, I did a lot of work on me, and there's still more work to do. I think what I would say to those sisters is love yourself, and what that will manifest as, you know, eat healthy, take care of yourself, you know, be your beautiful inside and out. But most importantly, you have to have an open heart. And I know that that's asking a lot, because when people hurt you, the heart just closes just a little bit more each time. But for me, understanding the power of love as it is enacted in my own family, as I think about the ancestors who never met me, who chose to love me, I know that I have an abundance of love. I know that. So I have to be true to myself. I'm not going to let an experience, or in this case, 6 experiences, stop me from loving. You know, love is much too powerful for that. And so maybe it's my 7th lover. Maybe it's the 8th. But love is what's pure. We contaminate it. So we have to remember that it's the relationship we're entering. It's a whole host of things. Take care of yourself first. Love yourself. Put yourself in positive spaces where you can meet positive people to have possibilities happen. You know, don't be at home and just thinking, oh, nobody wants to meet me. You have to get out there. You have to be willing to take a chance. You have to be willing to go in online dating. A lot of people are not, you know, they're afraid of that because there's a lot of catfishing stuff out there too. So you have to be courageous, but you have to most of all know who you are. You have to know yourself. I would never give up on love.
That is beautiful.
Listen, we got one more question. Charmaine is her internet on some Teddy Riley foolishness, but we thank you all for your time, but we cannot leave without asking this question to the both of you, and you all can answer in whatever way you would like. But in Yoli's book, she explicitly asked for what she wants in the poem I Want. And this is Charmaine and I, one of our favorite poems. So we want to create space for you as a Black man to ask for what you want. What do Black men, all included, need from Black women? How can we show up in support of Black men?
Wow.
I both hate and love that Black women always ask that question. And continue to, in spite of doing work that you seldom get credit for,
Mm-hmm.
Continue to ask what more you can do to hold space for us.
Mm.
Acknowledging that I don't have a request or a demand or an invitation to do anything other than that which is required to exist in this world as your purpose to.
Mm-hmm.
And I would invite you, Black women, girls, cis, trans, femme-identified, non-binary folks, to care for yourselves in this state of emergency. I continue to think about how many lives are lost as a result of anti-Blackness, as a result of capitalism, as a result of failure of leadership.
Yes.
And so much of the loss of Black life is a manifestation of us not knowing how to tend to ourselves in moments of emergency. And this continues to be one, not only for this country, but for Black folks. And what I want is for Black women and girls to be selfish and to do the kind of radical self-love, the kind of things that white women who do yoga in the middle of the day write about and talk about as self-care, because it is what's required for you all to be able to show up for yourselves, because of all of the ways that the world demands that you show up for so many others.
Mm.
Yeah.
Ooh.
For real.
Wow. Edmund.
Yo, I ain't got nothing after that, David. I think the only one thing, one thing I really admire, like I agree, I want to echo David, and I agree, like, I don't think it's a Black woman's responsibility to teach us or to, you're not there to, we're not there to like kind of hang off your coattails. But one thing I admire about Black women is how they love, and like, like just how unselfish they are, how selfless they are. And I would want to learn that, I would want to learn that from a Black woman, just like how to love myself. Right. I think about like growing up as a Black male in an African household, but also in America, being growing up in the Bronx, how to love yourself, how to do some, we're so conditioned to think so many different things as Black men. How do we do some of that unconditioning? And I don't want a Black woman to lead us in that work, but I want to, walk alongside Black women in that work. Right. And I think for us to get into a space to truly love and support each other. Right. That's ultimately the goal. Right. Whenever you go on social media, there's always a battle between Black men and Black women. Right. There's always an argument or there's so much criticism. But like, I think for me, walking alongside each other, allowing us and learning about different perspectives, but also like what David said, allowing you all the space just to be selfish and to do what you got to do to take care of yourself is also necessary and important in this critical time as well.
Lovely.
I'm back, and I just caught the last bit of it, and that was amazing.
You know,
Go ahead, Yolanda.
Keisha and Charmaine, thank you so much. And David and Edmund, it goes without saying the gratitude that I have for each of you individually in my lives and in this very moment collectively. And I just hope that and pray that those who are listening, listen, y'all, the time is now. We have to get this right for us first. And I just want to thank y'all for holding this space. I feel very emotional right now, just very grateful. And I love my people.
Same, Yoli. I feel like every time we come together, I'm like tore up. So I'm gonna cry later. I'm a little messed up, but I want to say thank you all for affirming us.
Yes.
When Charmaine and I started this work, actually a year ago, we went to a conference and they asked us a question about freedom dreaming for Black and centering Blackness. And the both of us sat there and we didn't know how to do it. We didn't know what it looked like because we have been so focused on making white people understand, our humanity, but we had never taken the time to just center what we want and how we want to show up in the world. And we started this platform just to do that, not with all of the answers, but to create space for us to figure out how to center ourselves and to do it unapologetically and to move forward with it. And Yoli, we could not thank you enough for just creating the Black print for us on how to love ourselves first we've been very intentional about sharing that we need to do this work with ourselves first, and been open about the ways in which we've messed up along the way. And we're just thankful that you all have decided to have this conversation with us, because we wanted to be in community with you all to hear from Black men and to figure out how we can do this together on this journey. So I'm forever grateful. Forever. Charmaine, you want to say something before we
I do before my internet want to cut off again. Y'all, this has been a journey. And you know what? This is why I know that this conversation had to happen, because David, you had internet issues. Then my spirit done jumped over here. So this was actually an intentional conversation. And I honestly am just full. I thank you, Yoli, for allowing us to just be under you and learn from you and just what you pour in. And I said it earlier when the cameras was off, but I said that you are, whoever you are in public, you are in private. And that's a beautiful thing, because you don't usually find that type of authenticity in a person. Edmund, we just met, and I feel like I've known you forever, because Keisha tell me all your business. Like, Edmund's doing this, he doing that. Edmund is here. Like, you are all your professional business. I don't think she know your personal business to share. But you be like you are just an amazing, just a king. You just a scholar, and you're doing the work. I see it in your STEM and your hip hop. So shout out to you, and thank you for coming on to Black Gaze and just giving us the opportunity. And Mr. David Johns, let me tell y'all something. Listen, I feel like y'all can tell I'm a church girl, because you know how you go down and you get to the person, you got to get louder. Mr. David Johns, let me tell you about yourself. Okay, so we've been stalking you on all your social media. You got all these thousands and thousands of followers. And it's so funny, because people get to your level and forget about people that's on our level. They really do. And so when Keisha had mentioned you, maybe she didn't even remember. She mentioned you like a month or so ago, because we were trying to have this conversation with some OGs. It didn't work out. And she mentioned your name, because she said she met you at a party and y'all had such a good time, this, that, and the other. But we never like moved forward, because in my mind, when I looked you up and I started following you, I was like, that man ain't about to do no Black Gaze. Like, we just Black Gaze now. We ain't MVP. See, he's about to come this way. And let me tell people who are watching this right now, when we mentioned it to Yoli must have sent you the message, because we were scared. I'm gonna be honest, we were scared to message you ourselves. We mentioned it to Yoli the type of person, we could just say something random and she'd be like, I'm on it. And next thing you know, she's sending the message to people. We like, wait, we didn't really know if we was ready for that. And you responded instantly. Not only did you respond, you said yes. And to me, I appreciate that. Keisha appreciates that. And we just thank you for giving two sisters a chance to have you on here and just get some of your genius and your knowledge and wisdom. Thank y'all. Keisha, I love you.
Now that's Black love and liberation.
Listen, and we can't leave without like showing y'all some love. And David, if you got a book, let us know. But y'all know we always give a giveaway at the end. And I told y'all that Dr. Edmund Adjapong just dropped a new book, like volume 2.
Like Jay-Z.
Like Jay-Z, because he's a huge Jay-Z fan too. And I'm super proud of him. Edmund and I just met, like we were friends because we both knew Yoli. We saw each other at a conference and we've been inseparable. And I'm proud of you, E, and all of the work that you're doing. And I want to share it with the world. So we have a giveaway for E's new book. Can you tell them about your new book? And I already know who the person is too, so I'm really excited. So
So we just dropped volume 2 of our Hip Hop Ed, the compilation of hip hop education. This was co-authored with Ian Levy. And just this volume is about hip hop and praxis and social justice right here. We got the book. And we just continue to put these books out to share the research, to share the different perspectives of different folks in the hip hop ed community. This book has, we talk about hip hop and as practice in different educational spaces, and also how can we leverage hip hop and as social justice in educational spaces as well. So, a lot of different chapters and perspectives in there. So indulge.
So Charmaine, the person who we're gonna give Edmund's new book to is Miss Melissa.
Oh, yeah, Melissa.
Because she been holding it down in this chat. Because Mo the producer is driving home, and she been holding it down like she Mo the producer. So Melissa, hit us up Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter so we can get your address. We ain't gonna show up at your house because it's a pandemic and we don't want COVID-19. But we will send the book directly to you so that you can have it. And again, we just want to say thank you. This is recorded because some people are like, I need to play this back. And it will be on YouTube. So Charmaine, show the people where they can follow all of the great people who are.
Wait, I have two books to give away.
I was just about to say, wait, 2 books to give away.
Quit.
So it's not mine because I got to finish this dissertation and get out of the people's camp that is Columbia University.
Out of the people's camp.
Yes.
This is my third tour of duty. Pledging the University of Columbia, which again is ironic that I have to go to a university to get certified in the stuff that I have already proven myself capable of in the world. And
That's all right,
so,
guys. Got you.
I will give away a copy of my brother, who is an ambassador to NBJC, Karamo Brown's children's book, After Design, which he drafted. It's a beautiful book. Everybody should see it, read it, love it. And then I will also give away a book.
Yeah.
Frank Murphy. These are two. There are 4 books. There's one also about Lulu, the rhinoceros, who is a rhinoceros in spite of the fact that people think that Lulu is a dog. And there's a book about teaching children about protest and righteous revolution that I often give to people that I meet or engage with that have young children. So I'm happy to give these 2 books away.
Charmaine, who you picking? Because it ain't me. Because I want them.
Okay, I'm not. Okay, you know what? You know who's on here that's a reading specialist? Alexia Coutain. She's a reading
So she can share it with a lot of people.
She can share it with all the children in her school. Look at God.
Look at you.
Let me know who to mail it to.
Okay,
I'll definitely forward. I'll email you that information. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Y'all done blessed us. Let me share how they can get in contact with you all because one, if you all are looking for Dr. Yolanda Sealey-Ruiz, we have her IG here as well as her Twitter. And then we also have Dr. Edmund Adjapong. Did I say that right?
Yeah, you good.
Thank you. I've been practicing. So we got your IG.
Time out. You say, yeah, you good. Like, no, that's close enough. And if we can.
No, it was good. That was good. It was good. It was perfect. It was perfect.
How does your mama say it? How your people
It's Adjapong. It's Adjapong. It's phonetic. Yeah.
In part, we're laughing about this, but I think often about my experience teaching kindergarten and 3rd grade, and it was my babies who had beautiful names, purpose-filled names, who would allow other people to shorten them or eschew them. And my thing is like, no, people can learn how to say Schwarzenegger. They can pronounce your name.
No.
I'm a big advocate. I'm a big advocate for names. Yeah. No,
the name story, y'all know. Name story.
The name.
Yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
I always try to make sure I get everybody's name right because I've been Charmaine, Shamaine, and it's Charmaine. So that's why I had to ask for confirmation.
Yeah. I appreciate that.
And then we have the information for Mr. David Johns. Y'all go ahead and follow him on Instagram, on Twitter. The man is amazing with his posts. I mean, if you are ready to continue to get knowledge, please follow him. And of course, follow us, Black Gays Podcast. We are on IG, Twitter, and Facebook. We also cannot do this work, y'all, without shouting out Mo, the producer, who is Web Paint Artistry. He done sent us some messages and texts trying to just control this whole narrative here, but we love you, Mo.
We love you.
We have his Twitter on here as well as their IG. And we done shouted out your husband. I got to shout out mine because he's out working, but honey, he's sitting here listening because he's sending me messages. So, hey, boo.
What's up,
That's Black love.
For real.
That's Black love today, y'all.
Thank you for creating this space. Thank you for creating this space.
And thank you all so much for showing up with us like throughout this podcast season and doing the live events with us. It has been dope, amazing, and liberating. And thank you all so much. We love y'all. And season 2 is coming soon.
Bye, y'all. And our guests, please stay in the back.
Good night, everyone.
Stay in the back. Y'all stay in the
In
side
the
of the
back.
class.
No, not the back, not the back of the bus. The back don't leave the studio. Oh, Lord. Y'all know what? Bye, y'all.